Imagine this. The party has just completed the job for a wealthy noble, and then they meet this noble at a gambling hall to collect payment. The noble says to the party, "Thank you so much, heroes. I have your 1,000 gold pieces here for a job well done. However, I have a wager. I am willing to double this fee so you get 2,000 gold pieces. However, you must wager it all on a single spin of roulette." Now, here's the issue. This table only accepts minimum bets of 5,000 gold pieces. So you're 3,000 gold short, but I will loan you that money, but you have to gamble it all on one roulette spin and you can pay me back from your winnings. Would you take this deal? That's the question. And we can answer it at the end of this video by rolling a single D20 and seeing if you make a profit. Because that's the mechanic we're working with today. We are replicating the feeling and the mechanics of slot machines in Dungeons and Dragons. And remember, the house always wins. The obvious question is, why are we doing this? Why slot machines? The answer is because slot machines are the perfect abstraction of gambling. So imagine Matt Mercer's table. When he has a session that takes the players to the casino where they can place bets, he's prepared all kinds of games of strategy and skill for them. Here's Liar's Dice or Dice Poker or Rollies, even Shadow Dark over there. That comes with a little mini game for players to gamble. But where else in your session would you ask your players to perform the task that their character is attempting? I mean, when my character picks a lock, the Dungeon Master doesn't hand me a padlock and a toothpick and say, "Good luck." Instead, when a character performs a task, we abstract it. We abstract it into luck and skill. Here's your luck, roll the dice. Here's your skill, add the modifier. And that's what slot machines are in real life. They are abstractions of gambling. Here's the game of poker. We've got suits and symbols, skill and strategy. Here's the abstraction of poker. Pull this lever and we've got suits and symbols, but there's no skill and there's no strategy. Just pay me out based on how many poker symbols appear. So in this D&D gambling system, rather than pulling a lever, we are rolling a dice. And that's the core mechanic. It's got 4 steps. First, the Dungeon Master decides which casino table we're rolling on. Then the player decides how much money they want to bet on this roll. Then the player rolls a single unmodified D20 and looks up the result on the table. If they roll a 20, they hit the jackpot and they get to do the jackpot minigame, which we'll cover a little bit later. And then lastly, the player multiplies their bet by their result on the table, and that's how much money they get returned to them. But keep in mind, I am not suggesting you add a magical or mechanical slot machine literally into your story. I am suggesting you use this mechanic that feels like a slot machine to abstract other kinds of gambling. For example, I would use this to abstract a poker game in my table, horse racing, sports betting. This video is not getting monetized, is it? Day trading. So now let's cover some fundamental concepts which will help explain why I think this is such an elegant little mini game. I said earlier that I needed code to help make my game precisely unfair. The reason I needed code is because casinos are precisely and predictably unfair. That's the way they make so much money. If there were even a chance of you entering a casino, gambling for a long time and walking out with a reliable profit, then they would not even give you the opportunity to play at their tables. In fact, that's the way sports betting works. If you have a betting account and you beat the odds reliably, then they will just close your account. Now, in a slot machine, this unfairness is a measurable quantity. So, if you were to play a slot machine all day, pulling that lever 1,000,000 times, how much of your money could you expect to win back? This value is a percentage, and it's called the return to player, or RTP. And it's a mathematical incarnation of the saying, the house always wins. Now, of course, there are going to be outliers, but if you pull this lever 1,000,000 times, you will be orbiting that machine's RTP. In Australia, our slot machines, which we call poker machines or pokies, they legally have to display their RTP to the gambler. But do you think knowing that the odds are stacked against them influences their decision to gamble? No, they pull that lever anyway. So there are 2 kinds of RTP, scripted or mathematical. A scripted RTP is when the game has a set number of wins and losses that it can dole out to bring its daily output in line with its, registered RTP value. And this is generally considered a shitty and boring kind of way to play. Like, imagine this. We roll a d20 in Dungeons & Dragons, right? Now imagine instead of rolling, your dungeon master just looked at the probability of a dice roll and then assigned you a number, but was always fair, right? They always assigned you a number that was in line with the probability curve of a dice roll. It doesn't feel the same, does it? Mathematical RTP is the juice. It is when a game has a legitimate probability curve that outputs expected results on a long enough timescale. That is how my casino tables work in this minigame, and it's where I needed to learn how to code. In fact, I will put my code explanation in the pinned comment down below, because I scripted it to to say it to you now, but it's a little bit boring. It's kind of boring, so I'll just write about it down below. There is a hitch with my RTP calculations though, because remember, I said if the player rolls a 20, then they hit the jackpot. So my RTP calculations need to take into account the jackpot minigame. Here's how it's played. Whenever the players roll a natural 20 at the casino, then they have hit the jackpot, and they get to roll the jackpot dice. Every casino has a mini jackpot, but some casinos also have a major jackpot and a mega jackpot. Here's an example. I bet on a darts competition and I roll my d20 on the casino table. I roll a 20, that's a jackpot, hooray. So now I get to roll the mini jackpot dice. In this case, maybe it's a d4. I roll the d4, I get a 4, fantastic. So now I've graduated to the major jackpot. Maybe that's a d6. So I roll the d6, I get a 6, the biggest number on the dice again. What are the odds? Don't tell me. And then we graduate to the mega jackpot. In this case, it might be a d8. And I get to add all those jackpot values together. But we also need to account for cheating and sabotage, because the players will cheat. Okay, the players will always take a great risk with minimal payoff, including cheating at a mob casino. It's really simple. If the players are cheating in their own favor, they add a 1 to their d20 roll. If they are being sabotaged by the casino or another player, they take 1 away from their d20 roll. But you can't cheat during a jackpot. No cheating, okay? No cheating in jackpots. Now I'm going to sit down at the desk and we'll do an example of play. I got a zoomer. I got to zoom now. So here before me is this table of 20 numbers that we can roll on our 20-sided dice. This is a level 4 casino for corporate gambling. So for each of these values, there is how much you can win of your bet back, and it's a multiplier. 0x, 10%, half, you win your money back. You win 10%, you win half and your money back. You double it or you hit the jackpot. So let's just imagine, just for math's sake, that we are spending 100 gold pieces. I will just write down how much you would win for each of those values. The way I imagine these rules working is that a single roll is an hour of gambling. I wouldn't normally use it for a single spin of a roulette reel unless it's exceptional circumstances. So let's say 8 hours of gambling, 8 d20. I just go player, roll them all at once please, and then place your stuff on the table where they landed. So that would be 8 rolls, that's 800 spent, and we got 2 jackpots. Let's resolve the 2 jackpots. This level 4 casino has a mini jackpot and a major jackpot, but no mega jackpot. The mini jackpot is a D8, the major jackpot is a D10. So let's roll the mini first. That is a 4. That's the end of one of those jackpot rolls. There's one more. If this goes to an 8, then we get to roll the major jackpot. We didn't. But it would have been exciting. So let's add this up. Player, after 8 hours of gambling, you went in with $800. You came out with 9 times your bet size of 100 per bet. You came out with 900 gold pieces. But I said we were doing a high roll, right? We have borrowed 3,000 gold pieces from that noble, and we're putting $5,000 on a single bet. So I will roll up the level 8 table for you right here, and we'll do a single roll to see if it's a good investment. This is not coming off as well as I thought it would. Oh no. So here we are. This is the level 8 post-wealth gambling. All of the value is in the jackpot here, right? If you hit the mini jackpot, it's a D20. If you hit a 20 on that and go to the major jackpot, that's a D100. If you hit a 100 on that, you go to a D1000 for the mega jackpot. You borrowed 5,000 gold pieces. Let's roll and see how we go. 6. I lost it all. If these rules seem interesting to you, you can get them all in a PDF on my Patreon right now for about $6. Check it out, it's pretty cool. Also, join my newsletter, start-a-quest.com. I forgot to plug it in this video, so I'm saying it now.